Day of September 2021. We are coming to you live on air and online from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma. And these are some of the stories that we are looking at tonight. Metropolitan Jonah Luanga laid to rest with 3 gun salutes. We shall also be looking at the National Social Security Fund, NSS bill, and others have been returned to Parliament, and Workers MPs meet Speaker of Parliament on the way forward. We'll also be looking at the preparations for Chiambogo's 17th graduation ceremony, which have already been finalized for tomorrow. And also in sports, we'll be looking at Sports Club Villa that has unveiled its new Serbian coach. Welcome once again, and let's get rolling. A fallen Archbishop of the Orthodox Church in Uganda, Metropolitan Jonah Luanga, has been laid to rest with a state respect of a 3-gun salute at the Orthodox head offices at Namungona, a Kampala suburb. Political supremacy dominated the burial ceremony as politicians from different political domains hijacked the service meant to accord a decent send-off to the man of God. President Yoweri Museveni was represented by Vice President Jessica Alupo, who says Luanga was a wise man who guided on governance and human rights issues. Philippa Guta with more on that report.
The burial of Metropolitan Luanga started with prayers at around 10 a.m. The prayers were led by the Archbishop of the Orthodox Church of Kenya, Makario still rides.
Personally, I worked with the late Archbishop Jonah for over 10 years.
President Museveni, who was the chief mourner in a speech read by the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, says Luanga was an experienced and wise leader.
The death of Archbishop Jonah Luanga has robbed the country of an experienced religious leader who displayed in words and actions a high commitment to both the spiritual and social concerns of his congregation. Under his able stewardship, the Orthodox Church in Uganda has attained a sizable membership of and contributed to the socio-economic transformation of Uganda. His wise counsel on matters of governance, human rights, and development will be missed.
The president also pledged to meet the Orthodox leaders from Uganda and those from Alexandria in Egypt. The King of Buganda, Ronald Mutebi, was represented at the burial by Katikkiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Mayiga. He said Luanga was a consistent leader and loved humanity.
From his deeds, it was evident that he loved humanity. While we are urged to love God, I think it is futile to claim to love God when you don't love humanity. And the reasoning is simple. We live with fellow human beings. We see them every day. God is in our midst, but we don't see him. And finally, Archbishop Luanga could be trusted because of being consistent, because of loving humanity. It was very easy to trust him because he exuded.
The Minister for ICT, Chris Bariomsi, represented the ruling NRM party and said Luanga's great leadership skills did not only help Orthodox Church but the entire country.
We would like to thank him for his outstanding achievements as a leader of the Orthodox Church and broadly as a leader in this country.
The leader of opposition in Parliament, Matthias Mbuga, remembered Luanga for being a vocal person.
Whereas we do mourn and miss him dearly, we are so thankful that for the time we lived, observed, and followed him, He was the true shepherd.
Presidents of political parties for NUP, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, and that of ANT Mugisa Muntu were also part of the mourners that attended Lwanga's burial. Kyagulanyi urged the Christians to carry on the legacy of Lwanga of being outspoken.
While we were remembering the likes of Bishop Janan Lumo, who was killed for speaking truth to power, it was almost impossible to have such characters, but we are proud in this generation to have lived and touched the hand of people like now the late Archbishop Janan Lwanga.
Theodoros Kubo, who is not only a member of parliament but also a member of Orthodox Church, commended the government for facilitating Lwanga's burial process from Athens to Uganda.
And particularly you, Your Excellency, the Vice President, you chaired the first meeting. When you heard the passing of the Archbishop, she chaired the first meeting. And where we had Honorable Chris Baryomunsi here, we had Honorable Taiwa, who is the government chief whip. We had Honorable Chiriwa Chiwanuka, the Attorney General, and the technical staff. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for making sure that in spite of his hard words, he had hard words, you must concede, but you never closed the door.
Lwanga was buried at 3 p.m. with a 3-gun salute amidst tears. Philip Aguta, UBC News in Kampala.
And may the soul of Metropolitan Jonah Lwanga rest in eternal bliss. Forum for Democratic Change, FDC political party, has joined the rest of Ugandans in mourning the untimely death of Metropolitan Jonah Lwanga of the Orthodox Church, who passed away a fortnight ago in Greece. FDC Deputy Spokesperson Harold Kija said at a weekly press briefing at the party headquarters in Kiijanangoma that Metropolitan Lwanga spoke for the oppressed and also never lived a luxurious life. Helen Jizamba with more.
To mourn with the country because Jonah Lwanga was bigger than the Orthodox Church. Jonah Lwanga was a true religious leader. Those who follow all religious books, the definition of religious leaders, you just insert the name of Jonah Lwanga.
The late Metropolitan Jonah Lwanga of the Orthodox Church in Uganda was laid to rest at the Orthodox Church Cathedral situated in Kampala suburb of Namngona. However, at the FDC party headquarters in Kiijanangoma, the fallen Metropolitan was described as a man who lived a cheap life, not that he didn't have money, but preferred to live a simple life, befitting a servant of the people and God.
We are meant to learn that in his life, he kept 2 pairs of shoes. 2 pairs of shoes. In a country where we have people whose hobby is buying shoes, including religious leaders, he kept an old car.
In another development, the FDC has appealed to government to reopen schools so as long as teachers are fully vaccinated and the standard operating procedures are followed to the letter.
We are now told our children will go to school next year. That is in January. 3 years at home. Many girls are pregnant. Others are mothers. People are scared of even going to police to report such matters.
However, FDC also advised government on how students can resume school.
Why don't we students start in shifts to create spaces? There are schools that even have enough land that very early morning they can even start from outside, or in the evening start from outside, so that we have a shift of the morning, another shift in the evening.
Reporting for ABC TV News, Helen Barbara Jizamba.
Now, workers, members of parliament have met Speaker of Parliament Jacob Oulanyah to discuss how the NSSF bill can be reintroduced in Parliament for consideration. The meeting followed communication by the Speaker last week on all businesses that had lapsed in the House, including the NSSF, succession and sexual offences bills, among others. Susan Nawonga gives us more on that story.
Being handled by a particular Parliament, 10th Parliament, 9th Parliament, 11th Parliament, the rule is that the business they are handling lapses with that Parliament. So whatever has not been handled cannot continue. That's the rule.
Last week, the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, informed the House that all business conducted in the 10th Parliament had lapsed upon dissolution of Parliament and expiry of the President's term. Citing Rule 235, subsection 1, he told the House that all pending business for the last Parliament would have been considered if it had been saved during the second sitting of the first session of the 11th Parliament, which was never done.
A bill, petition, motion, or other business before the House or any of its committees may be reinstated in the next Parliament by a resolution of Parliament.
Following the Speaker's communication to the House, the affected bills included the NSSF Bill, the Succession Bill, Sexual Offences Bill, and the Local Content Bill, among others, which were all passed but not assented to by the President.
You are all aware that we went through a hectic process to ensure that this bill was passed.
This literally means that all aforementioned bills in question are to be reintroduced on the floor of Parliament. With the NSSF bill being the critical one, workers' representatives are concerned over the President's delay to assent to the bill.
Why did it delay? Because this was a bill of government. If it was a bill of government, they shouldn't have delayed with it, because according to the law, they're not supposed to be 30 days. So they should have been the ministry concerned, that's Labour, to make sure that the bill is brought back in time.
In a closed-door meeting with the Speaker of Parliament, workers' representatives dialogued on how the bill should be reinstated in time to avoid further delays.
We went there is that we wanted to now speedily we can do it. And we have actually got a lot of commitment, and the Speaker has actually assured us it will actually work out.
The Speaker has agreed there's a problem, but this one can be sorted out. And we have given ourselves assignments.
They have now asked the Attorney General and Minister of Gender to ensure that the bills in question are reinstated in the House for consideration.
And when the President told us that he had issues which he wanted us to correct, we met him twice. But even then, since we met him, it is over 1 month.
The NSSF bill, among others, was introduced to allow mid-term access of funds by those above 45 years and also those who had saved for at least 10 years. Although Parliament had passed the bills in question, the President returned the NSSF bill for amendment before he could assent it into law. Susan Nawonga reporting for UBC TV.
Uganda Police has clarified on alleged disappearance from public of Inspector General of Police Martin Okoth Ochola. Police spokesperson Fred Enanga assured the country that the IGP is doing his work as mandated by the law. Nasil Rubwamba reports.
Following the allegations of power vacuum at the home of the police due to the alleged disappearance of the Inspector General of Police Martin Okoth Ochola on different state events, Uganda Police has clarified that despite his absence from the public, the IGP is performing his duties in accordance with the law. The law allows the person of the IGP to be represented by high-ranking officers in the police.
That in these many state duties and other functions, police functions, he has delegated a number of directors differently to go and represent him. So that is in order. It doesn't show a power vacuum. All the IGP is clearly in charge of the whole policing organization and supported by the Chief of Staff and directors.
However, police was quick at sounding a warning to some of its officers who take up responsibilities without being delegated by their superiors.
We wish to inform him that at that horizontal level of ranking, whether at the level of director, deputy director, head of department, even at the region and districts, the senior-most officer at that level takes command of leadership.
In another development, police is holding one, Luganda Alexis, over subversive activities. The suspect was intercepted at Namulanda along Entebbe Road with machetes and some dangerous weapons.
After he was found in possession of a machete and a list of telephone contacts of different people at Abaita Babiri, that is in Kumba, Katabi Town Council. The suspect calls himself Luganda Alexis, aged 26, alias King's Star. They say he's a resident of Mabirizi village in Masaka. And so this one is going to help us because when we carried out wider operations, we also managed to recover 5 deadly new hammers.
Police last week reported 90 serious incidents which claimed 73 lives, arresting 72 suspects in connection with the incidents. Among the serious cases of homicide is the one of Wambale Jonah, who killed his girlfriend, accusing her of infecting him with HIV/AIDS.
So as the joint security agencies, we want to strongly condemn such sexually motivated crimes. The motivation was uncalled for. First of all, there was no proof on the timing of the infection that he got, if at all he got HIV. And also linking it to the victim, because some of these people lead very reckless lives.
The Police Directorate of Criminal Intelligence is holding 16 suspects on account of selling counterfeit engine oil in the Central Business District of Kampala.
So, whereas somebody is distributing, he may not know that the ingredients that are used to make this adulterated oil are ingredients purposely imported by the cells of terrorism to generate money and let alone expand their sale.
In the enforcement of curfew last week, police arrested 1,012 people, impounding 1,058 vehicles and impounding 3,049 motorcycles. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Thanks, Nasir, for that report there. Now, let's go to Masaka, where Masaka High Court has granted bail to opposition members of Parliament, Muhammad Sejirinya, who is the Member of Parliament for Kawempe North, and Alan Sewanyana, Member of Parliament for Machindia West. The duo paid 2 million shillings cash, while their sureties, Christine Dajire, Member of Parliament, Bukoma Simbi North, Veronica Nanyondo, woman Member of Parliament, Bukoma Simbi District, Francis Zake, Mitiana Municipality, and Ibrahim Semuju Nganda, MP, Chira Municipality. The two are charged with 6 counts, including murder, attempted murder, and terrorism, and aiding terrorists in relation to the Masaka Bijambia murders. The group is charged with 4 others and is currently on remand at Kitalia Government Prison. The presiding judge, Lady Justice Victoria Nachintu Kavuma, ordered the accused to deposit their passports and appear in court twice every month.
Working on the processes as directed by court, because we've got to raise the money, the cash bail, 20 million for each, and thereafter pay it in the bank, because we have to deposit it in the bank to get a general receipt, and thereafter process the bail, the bail papers for execution by the registrar, where we have been referred to ICD in Kampala. And from, I think that process is going to take some time, because right now the offices are closed, the banks are closed. There isn't much that we can do as of now, our hands are tied. It's very unfortunate they will have to spend another night on remand at Chigo. So we have to bear with that. There is no choice about it. So, but we are going to expedite the processes going forward from now, so that by tomorrow morning we are done with the paperwork and we are through with the payments, so that tomorrow we get them out.
The happenings in Masaka there. And some good news today, as Uganda received a consignment of more than 1 million doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines donated by the United States government. Now, this is the second consignment of COVID-19 vaccines that the Biden administration has sent to Uganda. This tranche of 1,674,270 vaccines is part of the 500 million Pfizer doses the United States provided to deliver to 92 countries worldwide, including Uganda, to fulfill President Joe Biden's commitment to provide safe and effective vaccines around the world and supercharge the global fight against the pandemic. That's very good news, and we do hope that many more people will now be vaccinated, especially the teachers, as government tries to restart or kickstart the education sector. Ministry of Education and Sports has appealed to Ugandans to refrain from comparing Uganda's education system to those in other jurisdictions that have reopened schools. Now, this appeal comes in the wake of a public outcry over delayed reopening of schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic that has posed a major threat to lives of school-going pupils and students in higher institutions of learning. Addressing journalists at Uganda Media Center here in Kampala, the Education Ministry spokesperson Dr. Dennis Muyimba said neighboring countries have passionately embraced the COVID-19 vaccination exercise, unlike here in Uganda, where harmful propaganda is still peddled on the efficacy of the vaccine. Irene Nantongo reports.
It will take massive vaccination and completion of the dose by a huge percentage of teachers and students for the government of Uganda to start pondering possibilities of reopening schools. This was the emphasis made at the Uganda Media Center when the spokesperson to the line Ministry of Education and Sports addressed journalists.
But actually for countries like Kenya and Rwanda, which we are always wanting to emulate in reopening, these two countries, we all received vaccination of equipment and vaccines around the same time. This was in March. But this is what is interesting. A month after we had all received vaccines, a month after, this is mid-April, we had vaccinated about 220,000 Ugandans with first dose. By that time, Kenya, which will say that we should emulate and reopen schools, had vaccinated close to 145,000 teachers. 145,000 teachers.
Other than Ugandans comparing the situation to that of other countries, the call from Dennis Muyimba is for Ugandans to embrace the vaccination exercise against COVID-19.
Are we willing to walk that journey? And that journey is about mobilizing our teachers to get involved in vaccination. The quicker we can get our teachers and teaching staff vaccinated, the faster it will be for us to reopen safely.
The validation process is programmed to take place after schools reopening.
The most important item that is most required, which is key, that we are going to give you a new certificate. Now, the new certificate that you will receive, the old one, we give you a new one with marked distinct features. The first feature is that the old certificates was not capturing the location of the school. We are now capturing the location of the school.
According to the latest figures, 269,455 teachers have been vaccinated with the first jab, representing 49% of the first vaccination target. Similarly, 96,653 have received the second vaccination, an 18% target of the number of teachers to be vaccinated. Irene Faith Nantongo, UBC News.
Preparations for Kiijanangoma University's 17th graduation ceremony are complete. The university is to hold the celebrations virtually with limited physical appearance. Lydia Chomkama gives us more on that.
Kiijanangoma University is set to have its 17th graduation ceremony on the 21st to the 23rd of September 2021. The celebrations are to be held virtual with a limited physical appearance.
In 2020, we never graduated because of the lockdown. So we've been struggling to make sure that the university continues operating. People have been invited to be present physically. And we've invited, for example, all students who are graduating with postgraduate diplomas, with a master's, and with PhDs.
According to the Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Eli Katunguka, all students graduating meet the requirements except a few that were delayed by circumstances.
It is possible that there are some students who have completed their studies and they have results, and they will not appear in the graduation booklet, or they will not be graduating. This may be because their results were presented very late, or they were never presented before the Senate meetings. So Senate has not evaluated the authenticity of the information they have.
Finalists that are not on a graduation list are urged to follow up with the university. The university also warns those planning to distract the occasion.
There's a group, I think, based in Banda, which is mobilizing a number of their colleagues to buy gowns and come to graduation. And these are led by somebody who is an LC3 counselor. Somebody called Bahati is an LC3 counselor. And he was in court, so he's the one mobilizing students to come and disrupt the graduation. But we have said, unless you have a card, because all these people have been invited, have cards.
Officers are already on the ground assessing the situation, and we shall not allow any kind of disruption.
A total of 9,521 students are graduating, with over 251 graduates scoring a first-class degree. The President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is expected to grace the occasion as the guest of honor. Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
And that story brings us to the end of the first segment. We'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
Today in history.
On 20th September 1988, an American diver, Greg Louganis, won a gold medal during the Seoul Summer Olympics that took place in South Korea. Earlier, Greg Louganis had won gold medals in the 3-meter springboard and a 10-meter platform at the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. Born on 29th January 1960, Greg Louganis became the first man to win back-to-back gold medals in both events.
Uganda. Today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185 *7# and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home, oh my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Five times the winning, yeah. 5 times the happiness, yeah. 5 times the luckiness, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5. 5 times the money, yeah. 5 times the shopping, yeah. 5 times the prizes, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5.
Win 100,000 Uganda shillings weekly in the 5 for 5 jackpot. Simply download the Center mobile app. Click Center on the go to open your account online. Transact 5 times or more using Center Mobile, Center Visa, and Center Agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 5 for 5 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank. Our bank, Centenary Bank, is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV, and we are welcoming those of you who are just joining us. Moving on, Eskom Uganda Limited, a subsidiary of Eskom Enterprises of South Africa that is currently operating the 180 megawatt Naluvale power plant, says the power dam can run efficiently for a century. Now, this is despite a phenomenon known as alkali silica reaction that has for decades affected the stability of the powerhouse. Dennis Sigoa reports.
Naluvale Hydroelectricity Dam, also known as Owen Falls Power Dam, was commissioned in 1955 as the biggest and the most reliable source of electricity supply for the entire East African region. Interestingly, it was generating 180 megawatts of hydroelectric power and was managed by Uganda Electricity Board. Eskom Uganda Limited, a subsidiary of Eskom Enterprises of South Africa, took over its management in 2002. The company's determination to get more life out of the plant has led to massive rehabilitation works costing millions of dollars.
From Unit 5 up to 10, we have downstream columns that are under the water. They need to be repaired. So that is one project that we are doing this year. We have already done the designs for it. We have already appointed a contractor to work on strengthening the columns underwater. The staircases was moving away from the wall due to the rotation, the movement within the powerhouse. We had to strengthen the column, the staircases.
But can this plant that has for decades suffered from a phenomenon known as the alkali silica reaction or cancer of the concrete, in the layman's language, run efficiently for a century?
Yes, it can. The dam is designed for 100 years and the power plant follows the dam. But in that, each and every piece of equipment has a lifespan. Some will be 35 years, some will be 20 years, some will be 15 years. If we look at the control and instrumentation, it will give you 10 to 15 years. What that means is that for you to reach the 100 years, you need to map your plant and all the equipment and understand each piece of equipment, how long can it run. You depend also on the maintenance that you do and how you operate it.
The concrete cancer is a harmful swelling reaction that occurs over time in concrete between the highly alkaline cement paste and the reactive amorphous silica found in many common aggregates.
There were various studies that were done over the years. It was around the 90s when they started understanding that this is a reaction that is happening in the concrete, which is depending on the aggregate, and once it gets in contact with water, it expands and makes cracks.
The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, with Okasai Opolot, the State Minister for Energy, recently toured the facility to ascertain its viability and current operations. Currently, Eskom Uganda Limited operates and maintains the 180 megawatts Nalubale Power Station and the 200 megawatts Kira Power Station in Jinja and Buikwe districts, respectively. However, the concession is coming to an end in 2023.
Discussions have not started between government and Eskom.
Dennis Sigoa for UBC News.
Thanks, Dennis, for that report there. A regional training facility that deals with preventing and suppressing sexual and gender-based violence wants Parliament to push for enforcement of the Witness Protection Act to protect those who would like to testify in rape cases. Dora Biamkama, a consultant, says the move will help scale down on cases of sexual and gender-based violence in societies. Shaidat Nasaku reports.
The International AIDS Society Conference on HIV 2021, reports of rape and sexual violence increased among women and girls in Uganda during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, whose restrictions spiked sexual and gender-based violence. However, most affected were those who were not prioritized as essential workers. According to Dora Biabakama, a consultant, sexual and gender-based violence often goes unreported due to fear that the real victims and witnesses may be exposed, hence putting their lives at risk.
Is that it can freeze you. You can fear, you can flee, or you can freeze. So when you freeze, you may not do anything. When you don't do anything, then the person gets emboldened to continue with the act. We are not giving a lot of attention to the economic aspect, and yet really this is what would make a person more dignified and able to carry on with their work.
Biamkama now wants Parliament to push for the enforcement of the Witness Protection Act to protect witnesses of sexual and gender-based violence.
We need witness protection because when sometimes these persons are released on bond and investigations are continuing, you'll find that the victim has to go back and live with the person she has accused, and it becomes very difficult.
These also want is accessibility of centers in hard-to-reach areas where witnesses or victims can easily report with assurance of concealing their identity.
Especially like one-stop centers whereby victims can go to one particular place and get all the services in one place. Because today, for example, if you are raped, where do you go? Now, once a person doesn't know where to go, it means that they may decide not to take action, or if they take action, they still fear that they're going to be stigmatized. But right now, when you go to the police, you may line up with the chicken thieves and others, and by the time they get to you, you don't even know how to express yourself, especially when, for example, you are seeing a man and you are remembering the person who has just raped you. So we are saying these gender desks in these places are very important.
Advocate for implementation of a commitment, special courts to handle SGBV cases, one-stop center shelters.
Our duty as human beings to bring dignity to our fellow human beings and show them the value of life.
Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Now, Uganda has joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Deaf Week with the aim of creating awareness about persons with disabilities. The first activity of a long week exercise started with training of PWDs on government grants. Commissioner for Elderly Persons and Disability, Prosper Mhumza, says government is committed to supporting persons with disabilities, as we hear in this report.
As Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the International Deaf Awareness Week, Minister of Gender has taken an initiative to train people with disabilities on government grants as one of the activities to be carried out this week. In the training, people with disability raised a number of issues challenging the sector on lack of access to information.
People in the village don't have sign language interpreters like this gentleman here, but then how are they getting these funds? So it's something that is missing within the program.
He says there has been a lot of delay in receiving money for grants from the Ministry of Gender, which hinders their welfare.
Procedures have presented a very big challenge in us accessing this kind of money. And we as leaders of people with disabilities, I mean the DPOs, the disabled persons organizations, are responsible to mobilize our members and then sensitize them, and then they understand the programs of government.
However, the Commissioner for Elderly Persons and Disability, Prosper Muhumuza, in response said government is committed towards supporting PWDs through special grants, but appealed to PWDs not to misuse the funds from government as special grants.
Government of Uganda has committed to start the special disability grant, among other initiatives, to conform with the Constitution and to conform with the People with Disabilities Act of 2020.
Muhumuza attributed the delay in disbursing grants to COVID-19 pandemic that slowed down the process and diversion of funds to cater for COVID-19 emergencies.
The delay has mostly been caused by the COVID-19 challenges. We have been in a whole year of a challenging situation. As part of the requirements, we need to get files including account numbers from the groups because the money is transferred direct to the group.
This year, government has approved and released 9 billion shillings for her special grant for the people with disability. The International Deaf Awareness Week will this year be celebrated in Arua City on Friday this week with the theme, Access to Information. Lydia Chomkama, Andrew Sebila, UBC News.
Let's go to Kamuli District now, where Kamuli District local leaders have recommended implementation of Emyoga funds in the district despite increasing reports of misuse of the fund in other districts. Over 1.9 billion shillings has been disbursed to informal sector groups in 4 constituencies which constitute Kamuli District. Haruna Mtesasira with more on that report.
People in the Kamuli district engaged in farming, which is an extension of wider informal sector, need financial support to bolster their business amidst the plaguing of COVID-19 pandemic. These include border riders, tailors, welders, and market vendors.
Ngere mu capital yange mbenga capital yange tambula bulungi nga ntambuza ekyalani kyange bulungi okutunga.
Each of the 155 Emyoga circles received 30 million shillings as city capital, while the elected local leaders received 50 million shillings.
I'm happy to inform you that the Emyoga program in Kamuli is going on well. At least now, people have started picking interest in it. We are still enrolling more associations for the program. We've so far given out more than 1.9 billion to the associations, and around 120 something associations have benefited.
Savings and credit cooperative groups formed where the potential beneficiaries in the village of Magogo, Namasagali, and Kisos received money.
Niba nange bafuniye kubanga ndi mulala ayenga emirimu mingi nasa nayagana nga nkozesa abakozi abaswika omulala kubanga tulimu abantu nga 10.
Tekereza ife abatunzi abebusoga eno nti Emyoga nediriji otuleetera okuyira awalala n'okwekulankulanya.
Unlike other districts in the country, Kamuli district developed a comprehensive framework aimed at empowering the communities to fight poverty. The minimum number of members targeted in each association is 7 and maximum is 30. Kamuli Resident District Commissioner Robert Mutemo, who doubles as the chairperson Myoga Funds Committee, confirmed the disbursement of 1.9 billion shillings out of the said 2.240 billion shillings.
This money is in the hands of the people of Kamuli, and this money is in the hands of all people in the 4 constituencies that make up Kamuli district. I want to commend the work done by the leaders, especially the sub-county leadership, for mobilizing the people to participate in this program.
The 1.9 billion shillings were allocated to 155 groups with 25% monies recovered. The Myoga program is a presidential initiative on wealth and job creation. It targets informal sector groups that come together as saving and credit cooperative societies. Sako Haruna Mutesasira reporting in Magogo sub-county in Kamuli district.
We'll now take another short break and return with business.
Be alert. Do not share your Airtel Money PIN number with anyone. Airtel Uganda employees will never ask for your Airtel Money PIN number on call, SMS, or by email. All SIM card registrations, SIM card verifications, or SIM swaps are done at clearly branded Airtel shops and not on phone. To report any fraudulent activity, please call 100 immediately. The official calling number for Airtel promotions is 0200 100 100. Stay alert on Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
My home, I smile when I think of you, Uganda. My home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda. My home, oh my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
The Uganda Cancer Institute, together with the Palliative Care Association of Uganda, will host the 3rd Uganda Conference on Cancer and Palliative Care from the 23rd to the 24th of September 2021 on the theme Cancer and Palliative Care in COVID-19 and Other Challenging Situations. The conference will be held virtually with some sessions broadcast live on UBC TV plus workshops at hospitals to bring together at least 400 stakeholders. The Prime Minister of Uganda will be chief guest at the opening session, and there will be a keynote address by the Director General of the World Health Organization. To participate, register through https://conference.uci.or.ug/ at 200,000 shillings only for Ugandan delegates. Upcountry delegates will attend through satellite facilities at regional referral hospitals, hospices and palliative care organization centers and referral cancer centers. For more information, call 0392 080 713 or 0414 540 410. Email conference@uci.or.ug or conference@pcau.org.ug.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175*94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Brought to you by
Transact 5 times or more using Center Mobile, Center Visa, and Center Agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 545 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 545 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank.
Welcome back, and now let's have a look at what's happening in the world of business. South Africa's regional airline has launched commercial operations to Entebbe from Johannesburg, South Africa. Now, the airline will now operate 2 flights a week in a move aimed at providing convenient connections between the 2 countries. The State Minister of Trade, Fred Byamukama, billed Airlink's entrance into the Ugandan market as a shot in the arm of the country's aviation sector and a boost in connectivity.
Their people, and I'm very sure if we use their services, they expand, they will have capacity to recruit more people, which is very good. As we carry out business, we need to think of this pandemic. The other time I was told South Africa, it was the worst hit when this pandemic came in, but you tried to manage it through vaccination and observing the SOPs. All of us here, we need to keep the eye on that, such that the business is not stranded. She told me, Excellency told me that the business was supposed to commence in July, but because of this pandemic, now we have it, this is September.
Very big thank you to your ministry and to CAA for fast-tracking the issuing of the permit for Airlink to be able to come here. I know you did that a few months ago, but they were delayed by the lockdown. We had lockdown this side and lockdown in South Africa. So it was very difficult, and therefore we're very happy that ultimately they were able to take off.
Now, if one is to look through sectors affected by the lockdown, then the beer sector is among them. Bars have for the last 2 years been closed, and since then business has been slow. However, breweries believe the sector is being revived, as Amon Ngabo reports.
Despite the beer industry greatly affected by the closure of bars and the effects of COVID-19, stakeholders have revealed that they are on course of recovery. Compared to the first lockdown, beer makers have revised ways of reaching the final consumer, with different brands allowing them enjoy the drinks from home. Now breweries are using online platforms as ways of making orders, and they say they are doing well amid these challenges.
The results are not as we expect. We are a business that is never satisfied with results. We are very cognizant and very thankful with the government for allowing the industry to operate. It is our responsibility to make sure that we are ambassadors of that as well, so we carry with very big responsibility in making sure that we are trading in a conscious and responsible manner. Our results in a bottom line perspective are healthy, so we managed to deliver very strong profitability, which is what matters in these type of crisis moments.
Whereas when bars were open, the turnover of profits was tremendous. They believe that it's not only the beer sector affected, but almost the entire country, and thus everyone has to adjust if they are to cope with the new norm. Now breweries were unveiling a new campaign of rewarding its customers with cash in bottle tops that can be redeemed through beer.
Business, we are striving to be part of the solution. Pain itself should have an effect, absolutely, in our customers, because it's a great way to reactivate business. So it is, in a way, our support to the industry to reactivate the retail, but also get closer to the consumers in what has been a very tough time with one of the favorite brands that they have in their portfolio.
They believe that all have been affected by the pandemic and giving back to the community is the way to go, and the Bitcoin campaign enables the consumer to drink more while redeeming currency. Ngabo Emon, reporting for UBC TV.
Was brought to you by...
The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank.
World news now, and we begin with neighboring Rwanda, where a Rwandan court on Monday found Paul Rusesabagina, a one-time hotel manager portrayed as a hero in a Hollywood film about the 1994 genocide, guilty of being part of a group responsible for terrorist attacks. The case has had a high profile since Rusesabagina, 67, was arrested last year on arrival from Dubai after what he described as a kidnapping by Rwandan authorities. Portrayed by actor Don Cheadle as the hero of the 2004 film Hotel Rwanda, Rusesabagina emerged as a prominent critic of President Paul Kagame, and he is based in the United States. He had denied all the charges against him, while his supporters called the trial a sham and something that did not go well. Now, prosecutors had sought a life sentence on 9 charges, including terrorism, arson, taking hostages, and forming an armed rebel group which he directed from abroad. After the announcement of the initial verdict, one of the defendants became ill, causing a short recess which delayed verdicts on other charges and sentencing. Rusesabagina became a global celebrity after the film, which depicted him risking his life to shelter hundreds as the boss of a luxury hotel in the Rwandan capital, Kigali, during the 100-day genocide, when Hutu ethnic extremists killed more than 800,000 people, mostly from the Tutsi minority. The leader of Guinea's recent coup told a delegation of West African leaders he was not concerned about new sanctions imposed by the regional bloc to pressure a swift transition to constitutional rule, the junta's spokesman said. Now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, agreed on Thursday to freeze the financial assets of the junta and their relatives and bar them from traveling in response to the September 5th ouster of President Alpha Conde.
Briefed the media about its response to the regional bloc's demands. Colonel Amara Kamara, the spokesperson of the newly formed Guinea National Rally and Development Committee, spoke on some of the pressing points. They include ECOWAS' call for the release of Alpha Conde, who has been in custody since his government was overthrown on 5th of September.
It is clear to all the parties that the former president will remain in Guinea and at the location chosen by the CNRD. However, all measures will be taken to respect his physical and moral integrity. Alpha Conde is in a safe place and benefits from all the treatment due to his rank.
Spokesperson Kamara told the journalists that plans are underway to have Guinea back under constitutional rule. ECOWAS had insisted on a 6-month transition to a civilian administration.
The President of the Republic, Mamadou Doumbouya, reminded his hosts that it was important for ECOWAS to listen to the legitimate aspirations of the people of Guinea. He insisted on not making the mistakes of the past. To avoid these mistakes, he informed the ECOWAS delegation that the national consultations had begun and that only the sovereign people of Guinea would decide their destiny.
The military junta says it will not be affected by the announced ECOWAS sanctions, including a freeze of its leaders' assets and a travel ban.
The president responded by saying that we in the CNRD are soldiers and that our action took place on Guinean soil. We do not need to travel and there is nothing to freeze in our bank accounts.
ECOWAS leaders had earlier met the junta. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo and Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara had said the discussions were fruitful.
Sports news now, and Sports Club Villa has unveiled its new head coach and technical staff ahead of a new season. Kwakur as Petros joins the club with assurance of reviving lost glory. Emon Ingabo reports.
Uganda Premier League record 16-time winners Sports Club Villa have unveiled their new coach, Petros Kakuklos, in a brief function held at the club offices in industrial area. The 35-odd-year Greek has signed a 3-year contract with the club. Kakuklos has a UEFA A license and is familiar with the regional football, having had a stint as an assistant coach of South Sudan. In the aftermath of his unveiling, the new Sports Club Villa head coach Kakuklos vowed to ensure that Villa gets back to its successful heights, as highlighted in the history books.
We need to improve the team, we need to improve the young players. Of course, whoever wears this jersey has to go out there and win the matches. So I don't think anybody in the club wants to lose any match. Our target is to finish as high as possible, and we take it from there.
The new coach comes together with new deputies. Jackson Magela and Richard Amate signed 2-year deals with an option of extension.
To do with the liability the club has, many businesses in this pandemic would actually show you their balance sheets and you won't believe it. But that doesn't stop business and the running of the business at the club. So we will take care of that. We are well aware. We haven't refused any of that.
Villa has so far seemed to be on the road of recovery. They've signed youngsters including Travis Mutiaba, Kenneth Semakula and Isma Mugulusi.
We signed many young players and we have the chance to improve them. And if we are successful, then Villa will be on the top for many, many years. So the motivation to bring the club back to its glory days, for me, is the biggest motivation.
They last won the league trophy 17 years ago, and their last major trophy was the Uganda Cup triumph in 2015. Ngabo Emon, reporting for UBC TV.
Association of Uganda University Sports will next month host the second Kings of Africa University Rugby Sevens tournament and the second FASU Tennis Slam at Makerere University. Our sports reporter John Barnes Sentamu gives us more on that story.
Let's do what? Ice.
On the occasion to celebrate the International Day of University Sport, Association of Uganda University Sport has announced hosting of 2 major tournaments next month.
We are starting with this press conference. Later on today we will have a Zoom webinar at 6 p.m. with a panel of students from the 5 zones of Africa to discuss the role of students in the growth of university sports.
The day is proclaimed by the United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization to highlight the importance of university sports in the world and also promote links with their local communities.
It goes beyond the commonly known attributes of publicity and national pride to more intangible benefits like health, social and psychological development of individuals, and an avenue to change the community.
The association will next month host the second Kings of Africa University Rugby Sevens tournament and the second Federation of Africa University Sports Tennis Slam at Makerere University.
While the FASU Tennis Championship is aimed at refining the African students ahead of the World University Games that will take place next year, the Rugby Sevens Championship is a qualifier for the FISU University World Rugby Sevens Cup. The winning university per gender will represent Africa at the FISU University World Cup to be held in Kazan, Russia in 2022.
Several universities from Kenya, Libya, South Africa and Zimbabwe have already confirmed participation at the two championships, including reigning Rugby Sevens champions, Johannesburg University. These tournaments will climax with the Federation of Africa University Sports celebration of 50 years of existence. John Burns, Centum, reporting.
And that story brings us to the end of news tonight. Thank you so much for having kept us company. On sign language, it has been Elizabeth Nakakoni, and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma, wishing you a blessed night.
From Monday to Friday for Good Morning Uganda with me, Felix Mkunda.
Priscilla Naloda.
Robert Chirabo.
Molen Kenyana.
Ruben Mpimba. With all the morning's essentials.
Including the very latest in news, traffic,
weather and sports.
Live on TV and across all our social media platforms.